Welcome back to the channel. It's time to take a look at some of the best cheap RC cars you can currently buy in 2022. Yes, I know it's only the start of the year and I may be a bit early, but there are so many great options already available from 2021. I will be doing more top 5 and top 10 videos throughout the year to make sure any new releases which are good enough to make the list are included. Any brand snobs, feel free to pass on this video, as all the cars listed here will be from cheaper Chinese brands. There will be nothing from the likes of Armour and Traxxas or any of the other bigger brands, as this list is intended for people who are looking for the best cheap RC cars available, and most of the cars listed here you can buy for under £100 or $100. These cheaper models definitely have their place in the RC world, as they are ideal for people who are starting out and wanting to get into the hobby before moving up to the bigger, more expensive stuff. I have considered many factors when putting this list together, including price, performance, what you get in the box, value for money, and most importantly, fun. Before we take a look at number 10, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on as well, so that you don't miss any of my latest videos. At the number 10 spot, we have the WL Toys 284131. This is a 1/28 scale mini drift truck, which looks like a much smaller version of the fan favourite Armour Infraction. There are a lot of these cheap RC cars out there that are inspired by the Infraction, and that is a good thing, as I've always liked the Huni truck styling, and this little truck looks great. Everything required to get you up and running is included in the box. You get a tiny 400 mAh battery, some spare body clips, a black and white manual, spare gears, a decent WL Toys transmitter, and a USB charger. The little truck comes complete with a set of very bright LED lights which look great when the truck is on the move, ball bearings throughout, as well as metal drive shafts. Electronics wise, you get a tiny 130 brushed motor, a 3-wire micro servo, and a 2-in-1 ESC and receiver unit. Even though everything on this truck is small, it's still very powerful for its size. I had a lot of fun with this one when I took it out, but the tyres are quite grippy, and if you are looking to get into micro drifting, you may have to get yourself a proper set of drift tyres, but overall it performed great. I can't place it any higher on the list, as it's just not as versatile as some of the other models, but it's still a great option for a beginner. At number 9, we have the HBX Spectre. This is a 1/14 scale desert buggy by High Boxing, with lots of great features at a great price, meaning it does deserve a place on this top 10 list. In the box you get a 1100 mAh lithium ion battery, a USB charger, a black and white manual, a decal sheet, a cheap feeling transmitter which comes with the usual trim settings, and it also comes with a speed adjustment switch, making it ideal for someone starting out who may want to turn the speed down until they get used to the buggy. Even though the buggy is small, it comes with some very nice features, including a nice set of wheels and tyres, and even though they are a slightly firmer compound, I can confirm they do perform nicely off-road. You get a very nice set of LED lights, a dust cover on the full-size rear wheel on the back, and a very rigid and strong roll cage. You get a decent electronic setup on this buggy, including a 390 sized brush motor and a heatsink, a 2-in-1 ESC and receiver, and a 5-wire servo. Oil-filled shocks come as standard, and you also get a rear sway bar, plus metal drive shafts. Let's talk about the performance. On the speed test, the buggy achieved 17 miles per hour, which isn't too bad considering this is built to be used off-road. Off-road performance was great, but the shocks did feel a little bouncy at times, so I think a heavier shock oil would help to eliminate some of the bounce. The tyres were nice and grippy, and the LEDs look great even in the daylight, but the one thing I dislike about this buggy is the battery tray. It's positioned on the rear just behind the roll cage, and it can be a bit fiddly at times to open and fit the battery, but it's not too much of a problem, and it's definitely easier than having to remove the entire body every time you want to change battery. Overall, not a bad buggy, and ideal for someone starting out with the intention to go off-road and in the dirt. At number 8 we have the HBX 903 Vanguard, aimed entirely at beginners who want something that's fast, durable and able to handle some slightly larger jumps and challenging terrain. Being a monster truck, the 903 has lots of ground clearance, meaning it's ideal for bashing on various different surfaces. High boxing are doing so many things right lately, and they are becoming one of my favourite cheap RC brands. The truck itself is well built with a nice body that really stands out alongside its nice black wheels. In the box you get a 1500 mAh lithium ion battery, which may sound small for a truck of this size, but it's very lightweight and efficient, meaning a small battery will last a good amount of time. You also get a black and white manual, a USB charger, a decal sheet, some LED lights which will need to be fitted yourself, some spare body clips, and finally the transmitter, which isn't too bad considering this is a budget model. The truck is made primarily of plastic, and the good thing about high boxing plastic is it is very flexible and able to take a beating. You get a 390 sized brush motor, a 2-in-1 ESC and a 3-wire servo, which is ideal if you want to upgrade at a later time. The truck, being aimed at beginners, does come with plastic drive shafts, a plastic centre drive shaft and plastic friction shocks, which are quite bouncy and probably worth upgrading straight away. Upgrades are available for this truck, but once you factor in the cost of the upgrades, this truck ends up costing more than some of the models which feature higher up on this list, and they come ready to run with all the upgrades as standard. That said, it's a great little truck for the money and ideal if you are moving up from something smaller. Upgrading to brushless and fitting upgrades can be done if you require more speed and performance, but it's a very solid option out the box and great as a first skate park basher. Moving on to the number 7 spot, we have the Eachine EAT15, which is essentially an SG1603 with a different body. Now, the Pinecone model's SG1603 was an incredibly successful little drift truck, so much so that various different companies adopted the same chassis, only changing the body shell and the branding. This means there are plenty of options available when it comes to choosing the right body for you. The Huni truck body used to be my favourite, but now I've spent some time around the Lancia inspired body that you get with the Eachine EAT15 version. It's definitely my favourite. Can we just look at it? It is stunning. The thing I love most about these cars is the LED lights. All the settings can be changed from the transmitter. Not only can you get many different bodies, but you also have the option of going brushed or brushless with this chassis. I have both, and personally I prefer the brushed version. It's fast enough in my opinion, and it just feels more responsive than the brushless version, and some people have even faced ESC issues with the brushless version. But that said, the brushless one is quicker out the box if you are looking for more speed. Drifting these trucks is easy as you have an inbuilt gyro which is adjustable again from your transmitter. This helps to keep things nice and stable, plus they even include a set of plastic drift tyres in the box. So you get drift tyres. What else do you get? Well, you get a 1200 mAh lithium ion battery, a USB charger, a screwdriver, some spare links, body clips, a cross wrench and an Allen key. You also get a manual which is definitely worth reading, as this car comes with a lot of different options and features. As I mentioned earlier, these are available in brushless or brushed form. The EAT15 I have here is a brushless, and you get a 3900 kV brushless motor, a 2-in-1 ESC and receiver with ports for your LED lights and a 3-wire servo. You get friction shocks as standard, metal drive shafts including a metal centre drive shaft and ball bearings all round. These cars are great, they are so much fun for very little money, and it doesn't matter if you go for the brushless or the brushed version, you will be smiling. They are very capable on and off-road, meaning they are an ideal car to take anywhere. They're packed with lots of nice features, and I think every RC fan should own one. At number 6 we have a new entry. It's the Flyhow FC610. This is a ready to run 1/10 scale truck packed with lots of great stuff as standard, including metal oil-filled shocks and metal drive shafts, and it costs less than some of the models already mentioned, making it an absolute steal. This is why it definitely deserved a place on this list. In the box we get two 1600 mAh 30C lipos, as this is the 2 battery version, a basic USB charger, black and white manual, a couple of decal sheets, some spare body clips and some spare wheel nuts. Transmitter wise, you get a typical high boxing special, and you may be thinking, hang on, this is a Flyhow. Well yes, that's correct, but it's essentially just a rebranded high boxing truck that uses a lot of parts found on the high boxing models. I think this has to be one of the best looking trucks in this price range. I'm a huge fan of the green body and the wheels, and overall I just think it looks seriously impressive. The truck comes with a 550 sized brushed motor, a 30 amp 2-in-1 ESC and receiver, and a 3-wire servo. Just like with the other high boxing models mentioned earlier, the plastics are soft and flexible, meaning it is a great option for anyone who's looking for a cheap basher that I can guarantee will be durable. Now if all of this is sounding too good to be true at this price point, well unfortunately it is. We were promised a 1/10 scale truck, but in actual fact this is closer to a 1/12 scale truck. As you can see here, when I compared it to my team associated rival MT10, now that thing is a true 1/10 scale truck, and the Flyhow is quite a bit smaller. So why bother then if it doesn't perform as promised? Well look, for the price it's still a great performing truck. Put the full speed claims aside and what you have is a solid, good looking truck that is already fully loaded with upgrades out the box for a fraction of the cost of some of the more expensive models which offer less for the money. Moving on to number 5, we have the eSheen EAT14, a brushless ready to run buggy which is fast, comes with lots of metal components and has lots of upgrade options. This is essentially just a brushless ready to run WL Toys 144001 with eSheen branding. In the box you get a 2800 mAh 2S LiPo, USB charger, a mini screwdriver, optional bumper and a plastic cross wrench. You get a black and white manual similar to what you get with the WL Toys range. You also get the usual WL Toys style transmitter, and these have always performed well for me. I really like the overall look and appearance of this buggy, and you can also get it in purple. Electronics wise, you get a 3400 kV brushless motor, a 60 amp ESC and a 3-wire servo which is upgradable. The thing I like most about these buggies is the silky smooth oil filled metal shocks. They are simply perfect and very impressive for a buggy in this price range. You get lots of metal components on this buggy including chassis, drive shafts, diffs, shock towers and turnbuckles. This and the version 1 WL Toys brushless range all suffered with the same issue, and that was later fixed with an upgraded motor and gearing, but unfortunately with the EAT14 it does still exist, but it's not bad enough for me to leave it off this list. See past these minor issues and what you have is an extremely durable and fast buggy which is enough for anyone starting out in the hobby. If anything, it may be too quick, but don't panic, you can adjust your throttle dual rate to calm things down. An excellent all-rounder and perfect for anyone looking to stay cheap but craving speed. At number 4 we have the WL Toys 144002. This is their attempt at making a mini 1/14 scale monster truck, and even though it's priced quite a bit higher than the very popular 144001, it does have some upgrades. I was a little confused when I first saw the truck, and I struggled to see if we had a real need for this in the RC world. There are so many great mini monster trucks out there, why would we need another? The truck was seriously impressive, and even though it only reached a speed of 24 miles per hour on the speed test, when they claimed it would reach 31 miles per hour, speed runs aren't really the intended use for this truck. This is a truck that is made to be thrown around and abused at skate parks, and it will happily do that without any issues. Compared to the 144001, you get metal hubs and a set of LED lights, but is this enough to justify the extra cost? In the box you get a 1500 mAh 2S LiPo, a cross wrench, USB charger, a black and white manual and standard issue WL Toys transmitter. Let's talk about the styling, because some may say it looks toy grade, and I have to agree to a certain extent. I don't dislike the bright colours, but I think a more relaxed approach would have been better, with simple but stylish colours instead of fluorescent yellow, but that's just my opinion. Just like the EAT14, everything on this mini truck is metal, including the chassis, the shock towers, drive shaft, centre drive shaft, shocks and diffs. The WL Toys 144002 is a great all-round performer with hardcore bashing in mind, and even though it's slower than a 144001, it's more capable and fun to drive with its bigger wheels. But does it deserve to be this high up on the list? I think so, but you may not agree. At number 3 we have another high boxing model, and this time it's the 16889. This is a 1/16 scale mini monster truck that just refuses to break. In the 2 years that I've owned mine, nothing major has ever broken, and I have literally tortured it down my local skate park over and over, making this one of the most durable RC cars I have ever had. These trucks are cheap, they look good, and they perform great. Upgrades are readily available and parts are available everywhere, making them an ideal, perfect beginner RC car. In the box you get a 1000 mAh 2S LiPo, which is tiny, but it will give you some decent runtime, as this is a very lightweight truck. You also get some spare body clips, a USB charger, and a manual. The truck itself does come with plastic drive shafts and friction shocks out the box, and even though they aren't perfect, they still perform well due to how light the truck actually is. Everything on this truck is plastic, including the chassis, and that's not always a bad thing. You get a 390 sized brush motor, 2-in-1 ESC and receiver, and a 5-wire 17-gram servo. This truck also comes in a Pro brushless version that is known as the 16889A. That includes all the upgrades pre-fitted. It also has a much more powerful brushless system. Unfortunately, I don't own that one, but from what I've heard, it's a seriously capable little machine. The HBX 16889 deserves the number 3 spot, as it's hard to beat for the money, and it will definitely satisfy any newcomer looking at getting into the hobby. Moving on to the number 2 spot, and we have the WL Toys 144001. Do I really need to explain why the 144001 is so close to the number 1 spot? Any RC fans out there will know just how good these cheap buggies are, and even though they have been around for about 2 years now, they still remain to be one of the best value RC cars to date. They do exactly as promised when it comes to speeds and performance. The 144001 is one of the models WL Toys managed to get right compared to some of their latest releases. Throughout 2021 I did feature the 144001 on my top 5 lists, and at one point it even dropped a few places, but when looking around for a good all-round capable first RC buggy for an extremely cheap price, which comes loaded with metal components and great looks, it's just impossible to beat. I won't show you what you get in the box, as it's pretty much the same deal as the EAT14 and the 144002, the only difference being the battery size. You still get a 1500 mAh 2S LiPo, but it's much shorter and wider. The chassis also features the same metal components as the other models on this list. The 144001 will still be one of the best cheap RC cars in 2022, and no doubt beyond. That is, unless they release a 144001 brushless, which they did talk about last year, but then the EAT14 came out with its cogging issues. You never know, we may see a 144001 brushless in 2022, and it may become the best WL Toys model ever produced. This brings us on to the number 1 spot, and it can only be the HBX 901A. Another brand new and recent addition to the high boxing lineup, the 901A is simply flawless. When I took this out to review, I was unsure if it would live up to the hype. Many said this would be the best cheap RC I have ever tried, and I have to say it certainly was. In the box you get a 1600 mAh 30C 2S LiPo, some spare body clips, a USB charger, black and white manual, LED lights which you do have to fit yourself. You also get a rear wing and a screwdriver, which again you do have to fit yourself. Finally, your typical high boxing style transmitter, which we did look at earlier. You've also got your usual trim and dual rate adjustments as you would expect, and overall it's not a bad transmitter. You get a 3800 kV brushless motor, a 35 amp 2-in-1 ESC, and a 17 gram 3-wire servo. The truck itself is one of the best looking I have ever featured on my channel. I love the orange colour scheme and I'm a huge fan of desert buggies, so naturally I was going to be a fan of this. On-road performance was great, and even though this isn't the intended use for this truck, the claimed speed was 27 miles per hour. We managed to achieve 25 miles per hour, which is very impressive, and I think in perfect conditions, 27 miles per hour would be achievable. Off-road, as you would expect, is where this truck really felt at home, and even though it was wet and muddy, grip was great from those medium compound tyres, meaning I was able to pop a few wheelies. This truck gets right what so many other cheap RC companies are currently getting wrong, especially when it comes to full speed claims and printing the wrong figures on product boxes. You can expect this truck to do everything they say it will do and a whole lot more. It's one of the more expensive options on this list, but I think it's worth every penny. Nothing needs upgrading, and it's a simple case of charging the battery, going out and having some fun, which is exactly what you want from a cheap RC car. This one is going to be extremely hard to beat in 2022, so I really hope WL Toys are hard at work. Otherwise, it's looking like HBX will be the cheap RC leaders very soon. So what do you think? Do you agree with my top 10 list, or do you think something else should be at the #1 spot? Let me know in the comment section down below, because I love hearing your opinions. We're going to leave it there today. I really hope you enjoyed this top 10 cheap RC car list, and I'll see you again soon on the next one. Take care.